Over the past few years, whilst rebuilding the layout, for quick fixes, I bought and built numerous ratio signal kits. Although they look the part, are easy to put together and are relatively cheap, they remain quite delicate. It is possible to make them workable, and was my intention, but it soon became obvious that a more robust way of doing it needed to be sought. I've replaced a few already, and in this episode I'm going to replace another one that got damaged beyond repair with this MSE brass kit. An LNER Lattice post signal. I'll probably annoy the purists in this one because I messed up the signal arm and had to use a spare that I had to hand. After cleaning all the pieces up with a piece of 240 grit emery paper, with relatively few parts in the kit, construction is quite simple. The main tools I used in this one were my asbestos fingers, my magnifying glass, and plenty of files. Some etched brass kits these days can be put together with glue, but these ones needed quite a lot of filling, so the soldering iron prevailed. Although some of the model car, like Matchbox car people that I watch on YouTube, use baking soda and superglue as filler, and that seems to work quite well. I've not tried it myself, but one day I will. With the post complete, it was time to mark up a piece of brass for the base, and unlike other times when I've built these signals, I've drilled a hole for the operating rod before I soldered the post on. Going against the instructions in the kit, it does advise you to use low melt solder on some of these parts, but I opted to use just the same solder throughout, which is 60-40 tin lead alloy. I elected to make the balance weight non-operable. It's fiddly enough in 00 scale to make these signals work, and adding another linkage into the operating mechanism is just, I think, asking for trouble. If I was doing O gauge, it would be a different matter, and I would just put the linkages on, because the stresses and strains on the bars is considerably less, and they're double the size. Now, I was most impressed with my little bit of camera work here. This lamp bracket is incredibly small, but it does show with the right amount of heat how that solder just zips along the joint. I used super glue to attach the lamp and finial, as that seems to be the accepted way to join white metal and brass these days. Ladders attached top and bottom, it was then time to go off to paint, which I give it an undercoat of Halford's grey primer, and that was misted on from quite a considerable distance so as not to clog up all the fine details. Then everything was given a coat of white before masking up for the coloured parts, which turned out alright on the stop board, but on the distance signal, not so good. That needed a little bit of touch up with the paintbrush. And black this time is black, so I've used Humbrol Matte 33. After the brushes and the paints went back in the drawer, it was time to put the lenses in, and I super glued these on, and I was really quite pleased with the results. With the signal arms attached to the post, it was then the difficult task of getting everything set up on the layout. There are many different ways of attaching the signal to the layout, and they're all dictated by accessibility, space and clearances. Here I'm going to drill a massive hole and use the blank as a base, and remember, X always marks the spot. The blank that comes out of this hole is a little bit too small for the hole that it come out of, so drilling another one the next size up in a spare piece of wood and filing it down so it fits snugly is the better way to do it. If you've seen my layout overview video, you'll know that I run Dave Fenton's MegaPoints system to operate points and signals. The servo used here is the one that he recommends for signals, HK-5330, Ultra Micro Digital Servo. I'll leave links to this and other bits and pieces in the description. I plan to do more signalling videos, and I'll go into more detail about operational aspects in future episodes. All that's left to do now is find the midpoint on the servo, bend the operating wire up, and then program the signal to its furthest points. Programming servos is best done by somebody else, so I'll leave that to Dave Fenton in a link to his video. I suppose the question that everybody's asking is, 2 signals, 1 servo, how does that work? Well, the distance signal on this particular variant is fixed, i.e. not non-operational. Again, I'll go into that in future episodes. Installed into a remote part of the layout that has seen little activity in the way of scenery, I'll see if I can change that soon, and you'll probably see the differences when I do the branch line video in a week or so, bringing another video to a close. Again, it's been nice talking to you. I'll see you next time.